All right, so let's do another example here for using sort of like a similar technique as well, but maybe like a different function. And so I copied a couple of assets from the kit into an E file just so we can keep it a little bit organized. And maybe we can do some sort of like railings, maybe some scaffolding type of situation. Um, Again, this is one of those things where a lot of times I don't know, I know sort of what I want, but I don't know exactly how I'm gonna build it. And so there's a lot of experimentation with this. And so first, I just have some lights here, very simple, just so we can actually see these models. And I'm gonna move this to the side. Let's see what's happening here. Just gonna combine all these. All right, great. And so I always like to start with, again, with a human perspective, just so we can actually get some scale. I'm just gonna start copying some of these and I'm gonna move them to the center. So selection to cursor. Let's rotate this 90 degrees, move it a little bit to the side. I'm gonna create an empty right in the center here. This is going to be my mirror. I'm gonna add a modifier mirror to this piece first using the mirror object, my empty. So now maybe we can play with maybe some railings here. So let's copy a couple of these. So duplicate, let's rotate it 90 degrees. Let's move it here. So now I can do a array maybe. Let's apply transforms, Control A, just so we get the right direction here. And we're gonna do this on our Y axis. Gonna couple these. And now we can do a mirror using our empty again. And so if I move the empty, I can make this as wide and as narrow as I want it, right? So I have a little bit of control there. Let's grab this one, selection to cursor. You know, depending how on how clean I want my bottles, right? I could go really clean where I just use them the way they are. But you know, sometimes, especially if I'm concepting ideas, I don't want to get a little tight or too tight with what I have for the models. Meaning that if I got this model here, right? I could, and if I'm not too concerned about if something looks a little bit stretchy or the model topology doesn't look great or anything like that, I could really open a lot of doors for opportunity for me to create something that maybe wasn't meant to be, right, that way. And so I'm gonna grab all this and I'm gonna use my bisect tool, go to my tool settings, fill and clear outer, and then just maybe cut here. So now I'm gonna copy the same modifiers that I have on this, Control L, copy modifiers. I gotta apply transform. There you go. So now I can come to my array here. Maybe do that. Just copy this one, selection to cursor. Maybe this is like a bigger one. Now we need some type of flooring. Let's go back to our original model here. You know, one thing that we can actually even do is, let's see this model here. Sometimes I even, just to kind of see what happens, I get a plane. Let's rotate that 90 degrees. And I apply the same texture of some of my models, right? Go here like this. And sometimes, if I go to my UV editor, I grab the model. I just maybe place it in some areas. It doesn't always work, right? Well, sometimes I get things that are a little bit interesting. Right? Even something like that. Could even use that as a floor. Grab these vertices and maybe push them a little bit. I'm liking this a little too much. Let's see. Going to my model here. Now this is a great trim sheet here that you can add details. You can see all the possibilities, right? So I can copy this, paste that here, right? And with this, I can actually go into edit mode, and then just start cutting. Maybe let's say I want, let's go to the top view. Maybe I want this section here, right? I could actually grab this, oops. I could actually grab this poly, which has the all that detail, duplicate that, and separate it by pressing P selection. Let's make that a little bit smaller, rotate that. This could actually be a detail on my floor here. I can array this. But this just gets to show you sort of the possibilities that you can do with this, right? You don't have to be, especially for like concepts and stuff. If I want to create something new, you know, I don't need to be super tight about it, about the models themselves, right? Maybe this has a double layer protection here because maybe this is like on a high up place. Copy those modifiers, apply transforms. This might look too bulky. right? And maybe this over here. We can actually cut this here and here. Let's put that in the center there. And now we got like a little walkway. I'm not too big of a fan of this. I like this better. But if this was maybe like a high up, this could work. Or maybe we can just lower it a little bit. Right? And so now we can actually take this. Let's apply all the modifiers that we got. We can just make it, one mesh. Just to kind of get that there. So now we have a new set of asset that we can use for certain things, right? Could actually duplicate this. Let's make a curve. Let's do a path here. Make that long. Let's get rid of this empty. So now I can actually do the same thing that I did for the houses. So maybe an array. Let's do that on the y-axis. We're going to add a curve modifier. Let's increase our array. And now we can move this however we want to. And now we can create some sort of cool hallways here or walkways. You can even do something like that depending on the terrain maybe. And so you can always increase these, make it longer, right? And that could be a way that we can add this. And of course, we gotta fix a few things. Maybe something here, make it closer. Maybe like 0.95. Right. We could also do a same thing, but an array on the y-axis. Let's add a couple of these. Let's add like 6. We can also do a simple modifier or a simple deform, bend on the z. And now you're gonna see that this weird X happens here. Let's apply all transforms just our case. Right, so this weird X happens, and when this happens, when you're doing bends, what I like doing, I don't try to figure out too much with the model. I just create a new empty, move it to the spot, the center there, and for the bend, I'm gonna use the empty. You can see that nothing changed, right? But if I rotate the empty 90 degrees, there you go. Now we can see that I'm getting the effect that I want, and I want a 360 here, or it could be a 180, right? And I'm gonna move the empty to the beginning of the model here. And now I'm getting a half circle. So it could be from one building into another, making a half circle here. Or in some other cases, not exactly for this, but you could go 360 here. And now you get a full circle of that detail. Now you gotta notice that this is getting breaking up here, because if I go to edit mode here, the actual ground or the floor here that we made, the plane, is only one poly here, so it doesn't have enough cuts to bend. And so if I select it, I press Control R, increase the number, go like this. Now you can see that it gets fixed here like that. So we gotta make sure that whatever model we have in there has enough polys in order for it to bend that way. Right. And so again, this is just multiple ways that you can use that. And you know, when I get into really creating new pieces and concepting, I try not to I try to open my mind to break the models a little bit and stretch them and move them around just to kind of get all their shapes and all their setups, and that really helps with creating new things.